Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So, long-time viewers of my channel may remember that back in 2022, I did a video called 12 RuPaul's Drag Race Queens Who Can't Stand Each Other. And you all seemed to like it, so I thought it was about time that I did a part 2 of this video. So, today we're going to be talking about 6 more Drag Race Queens who can't stand each other or have had some kind of beef in the past. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. But just before we get started, I'd quickly just like to say, you may have seen on my channel the other day, I posted some very exciting news that I have become an official Paramount Plus affiliate partner. So if you want to check out Paramount Plus and sign up for a free trial, please use my link, which you'll find in the description and also in the pinned comment. And on Paramount Plus, you can get a free trial to watch a mountain of entertainment, and that includes shows like RuPaul's Drag Race Global All-Stars, which just started the other day. So as I said, check out my link in the description and the pinned comment, and thank you so much to Paramount Plus for asking me to be an official partner. Farrah, Moan and Trinity the Tuck. Farrah, Moan and Trinity the Tuck both competed on Season 9 and All-Stars 4. Farrah and Trinity have had a long-standing feud, and the feud started back up again more recently, so I'm going to briefly explain what started their original feud, and then talk about the most recent feud and the allegations. So, back in 2021, Farrah had criticised Trinity for still doing in-person gigs, even though this was during the COVID pandemic and there were lockdowns. And Farrah described Trinity as unbelievably selfish and said that Trinity was putting people's lives at risk. Trinity responded to this by telling Farrah to shut up and said that she needed to perform in order to earn money to survive and stop her house going into foreclosure. And Trinity said she was following the safety guidelines, and she likened it to a retail worker still needing to work. But Farrah said it wasn't the same thing and that a drag queen is not an essential worker like retail workers. And there was a lot of back and forth between the two, and eventually Farrah tweeted saying Trinity had blocked her. And as I said, this all happened back in 2021, and not much else happened between the two of them for a few years. However, 3 years later, in June 2024, the drama seemed to start back up again when Trinity appeared as a guest on the Sibling Rivalry podcast with Monet Exchange. Trinity asked Monet which Drag Race queens she hated. Monet mentioned that she had previously had a beef with Tamisha Iman, but they had squashed it, and she also doesn't like the Vixen and the feeling was mutual. Trinity then said, quote, "I used to love Farrah Moan until she started all this drama during COVID for no reason." Trinity went on to say that Farrah tried to get her fans to attack Trinity because she had done a brunch show during COVID, even though it was outside and was limited to 50 people and Trinity wore a mask. So she said it was within the law. Trinity then said that Farrah was hanging out with people during that time without a mask and implied that Farrah was being hypocritical. Trinity also explained that a few weeks prior to all of that, Farrah had been struggling with mental health stuff, and Trinity had offered for Farrah to come and stay at her place if she needed to get away from it all. So for Trinity, it felt, quote, out of left field that Farrah came for her, and they were totally cool before that. Trinity then ended by saying, quote, "So now I hate that highlighter B." Also, just as an extra bit of information because it is relevant to the recent drama, Trinity mentioned in the same video that she also didn't get on with Jade Jolie. Trinity explained that the reason she had issues with Jade is because Jade had once spat in someone's face and called them fat, and there was apparently video footage of it. And according to Trinity, that's why Jade got fired from Play. And I assume Trinity is referring to Play Dance Bar, which is a dance bar with locations in Nashville and Louisville. Trinity then said that Jade had been really rude to Trinity's drag daughter as well. After this episode of Sibling Rivalry came out, Trinity's comments got a lot of traction on social media, and this then seemed to spark the drama back up again between Farrah and Trinity. And thank you to one of my Twitter followers, Haru, who sent me a message about this drama. The next day, Farrah responded to Trinity's comments and posted on X/Twitter saying, Hi Twitter, since a certain trailer trash demon can't stop bringing me up in whatever platforms people are still giving her for some reason, when I've done nothing but stay in my own lane, I would like to tell you all a little story. Farrah then posted a series of posts with several accusations against Trinity, so I'll go through them now. Farrah explained that one summer, she was dating a trans man and they went to dinner with Trinity, and although she didn't specify when this happened, from the timeline it's assumed that this must have been sometime pre-COVID. At that dinner, Trinity apparently didn't realise that Farrah's date was trans, and Trinity allegedly said, "Can y'all believe there are men with vaginas? That is absolutely so disgusting to me. How could anyone be into a man with a P-word? P-word being a slang term for a vagina." Farrah said that she and her date were, quote, mortified, and that her date was really upset, and Farrah felt guilty that she had brought the date with her, and now Trinity was apparently making transphobic comments. Farrah said she told Trinity to stop, and that her date was trans. Apparently Trinity replied by saying, "Oh wait, but I'd never be able to tell, you look just like a real man," which apparently just made things worse. Farrah explained that the rest of the dinner was really uncomfortable, but Farrah had tried to give Trinity the benefit of the doubt because they had been friends before. But Farrah said during her own journey when she was coming to terms with her own trans identity, every time she saw Trinity saying something transphobic online, it, quote, chipped away at her patience. It apparently came to a head in 2020 during COVID, and Farrah referenced what happened in 2021 when she called Trinity out for performing during COVID. And this awkward dinner that had happened a few years previously was presumably what had started causing Farrah to start disliking Trinity, and that's why she eventually called Trinity out. Farrah ended by saying that Trinity had never made amends for any of this and had blocked her. Farrah also said that she is convinced that Trinity really was she-devil by night. If you don't know what that is, I did do a video about it which I'll link to below, but basically, ages ago there was a Reddit account called She-Devil by Night that had posted a lot of problematic stuff, and a lot of people rumoured that Trinity was the owner of that account. Anyway, back to the recent drama, and Farrah said, quote, "She is quite literally an awful person, an awful role model, but hey, she's great at drag." Farrah later said in a subsequent post that Trinity never invited Farrah to come and stay with her. She also said that back when they were on tour, Trinity wanted everyone to go out on stage for the curtain call, but everyone was in their undergarments. So Farrah said she wasn't comfortable going out in just her undergarments. And apparently Trinity, quote, got mad and screamed at me. In the meantime, Jade Jolie also got involved in this, because as I mentioned earlier, Jade was also one of the people Trinity had said she had a problem with. Jade started by posting saying, "I hope Farrah Moan is having a great day," which Farrah responded to by saying, oh my god, I love you." Jade then seemingly addressed the accusation that Trinity had made about spitting in someone's face. Jade said that she hasn't always made the best decisions, but she's learned from them, and, quote, "I will not be bullied from someone I have beyond below zero respect for." There was then another series of posts where Jade said that she really wanted to, quote, slap the F out of Trinity. And she also said she was sick of Trinity's nasty energy and that she looked like a, quote, chicken foot. Jade also clarified that the reason she and Trinity had issues is actually because Jade had called out Trinity's drag daughter, called Chantel Sparkles, for being racist. And apparently Chantel didn't get on Drag Race because of her use of racist slurs on social media. Jade finished by questioning why Trinity brought her up in the first place, because Jade is now a Dragula girl and left Drag Race years ago. She also seemed to compare Trinity to the putty patrollers from Power Rangers. After all of these allegations about Trinity being transphobic then came out, Trinity then issued a statement to Out magazine where she said, quote, "The claims that Farrah have made are grossly embellished. I have never and would never say those things about a trans man." Farrah's obviously in her feelings about my statements in the podcast she brought up, and she is clearly lashing out. I might talk more about the night she mentions in a future podcast, stay tuned. Then, shortly after this, Trinity was a guest again on the Sibling Rivalry podcast, this time with Bob the Drag Queen, and Trinity said she wanted to address the allegations Farrah had made against her. Trinity said that it is true that she went for dinner with Farrah and her date, who was trans. And she mentioned the transphobic comments that Farrah alleged that Trinity had made about how she can't believe some men have a vagina. Trinity said that she did not say that, and even though Trinity is from Alabama, even she knew about trans people and would never have made a comment like that. Trinity then explained that what Farrah failed to mention is that dinner, Trinity also had 2 of her friends there as well, so there were 5 of them in total. And Farrah must not be remembering things correctly, because Farrah never mentioned this, and Farrah had also denied that Trinity ever offered her to come and stay at her place. But Trinity said she definitely did offer that, and they were in contact a lot because Farrah had been going through a tough time, and Farrah's therapist had also been murdered, which was a very sad thing. But in terms of the transphobic comments, Trinity said she contacted her 2 friends that were there that night and asked them if Trinity had ever said that because she doesn't remember saying that. Apparently, one of Trinity's friends said that they were actually the one who said the comment, not Trinity. However, they clarified that what Farrah said was not totally accurate, and what actually happened was that Farrah's date was an adult film star, and they were discussing that lifestyle. And Farrah had said that she had previously been with trans men. And in response to that, Trinity's friend said, quote, "I could never do that, I've never been with a P word," or in other words, a vagina. Bob said that that was still a bit problematic, and Trinity said she can't speak to that part of it, but she said that those words never came out of her mouth, it was her friend who said that. And Trinity said that Farrah shouldn't have tried to put that on Trinity, and Trinity can't be responsible for what her friends say. Bob then said, quote, "Memories are faulty, and that people don't always remember things the way they actually happened." Trinity then ended by saying that this is the problem with the fan base because it's a, quote, "mob mentality," and people just believe what other people say, and they start then attacking the queens, even though they don't know the full story. And Trinity said she doesn't really care for Farrah, but she doesn't wish her any ill will and doesn't want anyone to be hateful to her. And since then, it doesn't look like Farrah or Trinity have addressed the situation any further, so it's unclear what is true and what isn't true, so we'll have to wait and see if any further developments ever come out about this. Bob the Drag Queen and Sharon Needles. Bob the Drag Queen competed on Season 8 of Drag Race and was the winner. Sharon Needles competed on Season 4 of Drag Race and was also the winner. Over the years, Sharon has become quite a controversial queen for things such as racism, alleged abusive behaviour with an underage fan, and other problematic behaviour. I did do a video a while ago about all of the controversies about Sharon Needles, so make sure you check that out if you haven't already, and I'll put a link in the description. Several Drag Race queens have made accusations against Sharon over the years, and Bob is one of them. A YouTube channel called Bob the Drag Queen Videos made a compilation video a few years ago about many of the times Bob has spoken about Sharon. And for example, on the Sibling Rivalry podcast in 2018, Bob said that it is, quote, "no secret that Sharon uses the N-word a lot, and has also signed fans' autographs with the N-word. Bob also said that she has been cool with Sharon in the past, but she doesn't agree with what Sharon does. Bob and Moan also shared several other stories about Sharon over the years, such as once at a meet and greet, Sharon apparently yelled at one of her fans because they had told Sharon that they tried to end their own life, and Sharon told all of her fans not to tell her stories like that right before she was about to go on stage. There was also another time that Sharon was in the airport with Kim Chi, and she chased Kim into the Gucci store and shouted that they should shoplift something, and she picked up a shoe from the rack. And Kim was really uncomfortable and was trying to get away. Apparently one of the staff members at the store then threatened to call the police, and Sharon ran out. And Bob and Moan said that Sharon is, quote, "a little crazy." Bob also said that Sharon was part of the House of Haunt, and said that it is a, quote, very problematic group of people. And one of the rumours is that one of the members of the house burned down someone's house because they were feuding. And apparently they got blacklisted from events, and Sharon has been boycotted and is not allowed to be booked in several cities because of her behaviour. Bob later said in a 2022 Sibling Rivalry live Patreon exclusive video that she kind of hates that she had previously rooted for Sharon and it, quote, grosses her out. And Bob and Monet have been quite open about them disagreeing with Sharon and her behaviour over the years. However, they haven't said much about it in recent years. However, on a recent podcast of Sibling Rivalry, when Trinity the Tuck was a guest, Trinity asked Bob if there are any queens that she hates. Bob said that there are girls that she won't work with, and she said, quote, I won't work with Sharon Needles. Trinity joked that that was a pageant answer, because Sharon is a queen who a lot of people won't work with. Bob explained that she has worked with Sharon in the past, and the last time she worked with her was for a Christmas tour. Trinity said that if it was a Christmas tour, it must have been a while ago, and that would have been before Sharon got cancelled. And Trinity asked what the reason was at that time that Bob won't work with Sharon anymore. Bob explained that Sharon thinks that she is being, quote, transgressive when she tries to dismantle systems that have nothing to do with her. Bob went on to say that Sharon says racist stuff and she, quote, uses and drinks a lot and it's really hard to be around her. And she would come in and cause chaos at 3 o'clock in the morning on the tour bus when everyone was asleep. And then she'd wake up and want to physically fight people. And Bob ended by saying that it was, quote, insane and rough. Bob doesn't seem to have said any more about Sharon since then, but it seems pretty clear that Bob won't work with Sharon and has called out a lot of her problematic behaviour in the past and also recently. And I don't believe Sharon has addressed these claims in recent years. But there have been times in the past where Sharon was confronted about her use of racist language. For example, in an interview with The Georgia Voice in 2022, Sharon was asked about her use of the N-word and if she would stop using it. Sharon didn't seem to think that it was a problem, and she was explaining why she thinks it's okay for her to use that word. And at one point, one of the interviewers walked out of the room, seemingly in frustration. Sharon said she felt like the tone of the interview was attacking her, and she later started crying when the interviewer asked Sharon what she wanted to say to the protesters that might be outside her show. So in general, it looks like Bob does not have a relationship with Sharon Needles and will not work with her again. And Bob does not appear to be following Sharon on Instagram, but Sharon is following Bob. Mistress Isabelle Brooks and Cynthia Doll. Mistress Isabelle Brooks competed on season 15 of Drag Race and placed 3rd/4th. Cynthia Doll competed on season 5 of Dragula and placed 6th. So it appears that Cynthia and Mistress had some kind of falling out after a gig they did together. And there were a lot of tweets and also a Twitter live video where Mistress discussed what happened. So I'm going to give an overview of what happened and what was said. And I'd like to say thank you to two of my viewers named Avand and That One Gay 2014 who let me know about this and sent me screen recordings of the Twitter live. So it started in June 2024 when Cynthia tweeted saying, I wish I could have said it was a pleasure working with you, but your narcissistic ego got the best of you. I feel bad for the fans that look up to an incredible diva B persona you think you're entitled to because of the TV show you were on. Good luck in the future, babes. People then figured out that Cynthia must have been talking about a Drag Race queen, and Cynthia had recently done a Pride event in Kansas City with a bunch of Drag Race queens. So someone tweeted a photo from that event and asked Cynthia who she was talking about. And Cynthia replied by saying, "Who's not smiling?" In the photo there were a few queens who were not smiling, but one of them was Mistress. Cynthia also said, "Your faves don't give an F about you." Shortly after, Mistress tweeted the same photo and she had clearly used an app to change it so that everyone was smiling. And Mistress talked about how great Kansas City Pride was, even though it was so hot, they were all melting and their heels were sinking into the grass. Cynthia retweeted Mistress's edited photo and said, "Someone has a guilty conscience." There were then a few comments on Cynthia's post saying that she was clout chasing and she should just talk to Mistress directly. But Cynthia said that she was just calling out bad behaviour and that she was blocked. Mistress also posted a screenshot of a text message she got from a promoter saying how good it was working with her at the Kansas City Pride event. Mistress then later went live on Twitter Spaces and talked about this whole story, and there were several other queens who joined the live, such as Vanessa Vanjie, Candy Muse, Got Mick and Denali, among others. The live went on for over 30 minutes, but I'm just going to go through the main points that they said. So Mistress explained that at these big events, such as Pride events with hundreds of people, there are always going to be technical and logistical issues, and it's understandable and you just have to make it work. What happened was that it was really hot outside, and Mistress was with a few other drag race queens such as Denali and Bibi Sahara Benet, and they were all getting ready in one trailer because it had air conditioning, and Cynthia was not in that trailer. One of the staff members from the event then came in and said that the queens weren't allowed to be in that trailer because it was Adore Delano's private trailer and she was the headliner, and that trailer was just for Adore because it was in her contract. And Adore hadn't arrived yet because her set was later in the day. The queens thought that the staff member was joking at first and they laughed because they were all halfway through getting ready and were half dressed. But the staff member said they were being serious and told the queens they had to get out of the trailer. Mistress said that Trinity K. Bonet, who was also there and is, quote, known for having a bad attitude, started going off about having to move. And Mistress understood why, but she and Bibi didn't want to make a big deal and ruin the event, so they just got on with it. The queens were told they would need to get ready in a different space, which was air-conditioned, but they had to walk there, and they had to walk past the crowds of people at the event, and the queens were all in half drag. So Mistress said she was really annoyed because it looked unprofessional, but she wasn't letting her frustrations show. They then got to the new tent where the queens would be getting ready, and it was a big circus tent which had a fan on the ground, which was their version of air conditioning. Cynthia was already in the tent, and Mistress said she didn't know who Cynthia was because she doesn't watch Dragula, and Cynthia, quote, spooked her the F out, but Mistress said she still went over and said hi to Cynthia. It was apparently really hot inside the tent, and Mistress's heels were sinking into the grass, and everyone's drag was all over the floor. Trinity was apparently complaining, saying it was unfair that Adore got her own trailer, and although Mistress agreed with her, she said that it was in Adore's contract, so it wasn't Adore's fault. All of the queens apparently were annoyed that this had all happened, but they were not acting like divas and they were just trying to get on with it. Then, after the show, the queens had to do a meet and greet, and so they were standing in a tent, and Cynthia was one of the queens in the group. It was apparently really hot, and they were all sweating and not wearing shoes because they were sinking into the grass. And apparently the meet and greet hadn't started yet because the organisers weren't sure what to do. So Mistress said she turned to one of the organisers and said they needed to get started right away because her makeup was melting off her face and she only had about 20 minutes before it all came off. So they hurried it up and got through the meet and greet. Mistress then addressed the claims that Cynthia had made that Mistress was a diva and wasn't entertaining people. Mistress said she doesn't know what Cynthia was talking about and said that she did say hello to everyone who came in for the meet and greet and was nice to them. Cynthia had apparently also said that Mistress only talked to the fans that were good looking, and Mistress said of course she's going to pay attention to hot men. Mistress then said about Cynthia, quote, I think this bee was just mad because no one was at the meet and greet for her, and that all of the Ru girls were nice to her and didn't treat her any differently. Mistress then said that regardless of whether you're a local queen or a drag race queen, they're all professionals. And what annoyed Mistress is that all drag performers know that backstage is a private space for you to complain about stuff and it should remain private. And so for Cynthia to then bring up publicly what Mistress had said was wrong, and Mistress called Cynthia a, quote, lame ass effing bee. Mistress also said she had messaged Cynthia privately, but Cynthia didn't respond, even though she was liking everyone's tweets about the situation, and that's why Mistress made the joke about it. Mistress accused Cynthia of making a, quote, clout-chasing tweet. The next day, Cynthia was on Instagram Live and was asked about what her thoughts were about what everyone had said in the Twitter Live. Cynthia said she had a 2-day rule where if something still bothers you 2 days later, you should say something about it, which is why she tweeted about the situation. But Cynthia said she broke her own rule of protecting your peace, and that's on her, and it is what it is. But she finished by saying, quote, "Why would I want to insert myself in a snake pit full of vipers that are ready to strike?" And so it seems quite obvious that Mistress and Cynthia do not get on, and they appear to have blocked each other on social media. But neither one of them seem to have talked more about the situation since then. I do also have some more queens I could talk about, but this video would be too long, so let me know in the comments if you'd like me to make a part 3 of this video series. So there you go, there were 6 more Drag Race queens who can't stand each other. Did you know about any of these Drag Race queen beefs before? And which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as have your comments featured in my Have Your Say videos, please check out my Patreon and consider supporting me. It goes such a long way to helping support my channel and I really appreciate it. And I'll put a link to my Patreon in the description. I'd also like to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreon members who are amazing and support me every month. Thank you so much for being part of my Patreon. I really appreciate it and I really do love my Patreon community. You are all legends. If you liked this video, please remember to like and comment on the video to help tell the algorithm that this is a great video, and make sure you hit the subscribe button because it really does make such a big difference to my channel. Thank you for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!